In this video, I wanted to try show what Jay did, how she recorded the video ahead of time, and then just did the audio voiceover. So here I'm starting with the top of the model to show how I did the weight painting for this week. You can see how the skin's moving when I do the rotations for the head. Next, I moved on to the upper neck, and I found that on the back of the character, I feel like it's moving a bit too much, like too far down. You can see how it shifted pretty low there. I felt the same thing when it went with the lower neck on the character. I felt like it still moves a bit too much of the geometry on the back. I feel like it also caves in on the shoulders, but other than that, I feel like that one works out pretty well. Next, I moved in on to the shoulders, doing the clavicle weight painting. You can see how everything's moving. After the clavicles, I went on to show how the arms were weight painted. I started off on the left side of the character, and then I switched over to the right side so you could see that both sides were weight painted and working how they should be. I then worked my way onto the wrists so that you can see how they bend in. I see that it looks like there's a problem on that left wrist. I'm pretty sure I come back to it in the video. Yeah, you can see how I'm switching back and forth so that you can see the view on both of them. You can see how I undid and went back to how it was originally, just to make sure that it wasn't caving in on itself. Next, I moved onto the spine. You can see how it's bending side to side there. It looks like the geometry messed up a little bit on the left side towards the hip. I'll have to go back in and look at that because I feel like there might be something wrong there. On the other side, it doesn't have that problem, so it must have been something weird when I mirrored the weights, or I just forgot to fix something. Then you can see the character when she bends forward. And then I did a 360 view also of the character bending backward. Next, I just moved the hips around so that you could see where it was like primarily set. Now I'm moving on to the legs so you can see where the knees are bending at. You can see how that lower joint is bending. I zoomed in to get a closer look, and I'm showing it from both sides. Then I focused on the left foot. I went through the rotations so you can see how all the joints would bend and how the weight painting works on the ankle and foot there. Then I rotated it forward. And I went to do the same exact thing on the right foot. After the feet, I went up to the knees to show how the pole vectors were working for the knees and how the geometry moved when I shifted them side to side. Now I'm showing what it looks like when the leg is bent upward, how the geometry looks at the hip. And then I have the leg bending backward. After I finished up with the legs, I moved on to the hands so you could see all the finger bends. I started off with the left hand. The first finger I show here is the pinky, and I do the pinky curl. Then I moved on to the ring finger curl, the middle curl, and then the index curl. I was trying to get better angles so that you could see the geometry and how it was bending. After that, I moved on to the spreads of the fingers. If you look at the base of the fingers where they join the hand, you can see that the geometry is bending weird there. I tried to fix it with weight painting, and I was having a really hard time with it, so I'm going to have to go back through and try to fix it the best that I can. Here you can see that I'm moving on to the thumb curl, getting different angles so you can see it clearly. Then I move to the thumb drop. And then the thumb spread. Once I was done showing that, I went over to the right hand. And I went through the right hand a bit quicker than I did the left hand because I mirrored the weights over, so they bent the same way. I'm showing the overextending curl lifting up on the fingers. I forgot to show that over on the left hand. Now you can see my finger spreads over here still look really iffy on how the fingers move and spread side to side. Then I move on to the thumb curl. The thumb drop. And then the thumb spread. I think I'm still on the thumb drop, yeah. That's why I went back and clicked thumb spread. After I showed the hands, I went to the back and showed the tail. I know my controls are still really hard to select. I'm trying to figure out a way on how to make it easier. I want to make constraints for the tail so they can just go in to a control that I have resting above it, and if they select that, they can get different swings for the tail. You can see there I have it going left and right, and then I undo that and show it going up and down. And there you go. That's the end of this video.